really making up for the one we had to post. Great. Well, this is White Buffalo webinar number 2, and got some good things today for everybody. Really making up for the one we had to postpone last week, but we're making up for it today. It's going to be a good one. For those of you that were listening to the insights from the other side, yesterday it was quite a strong cup of tea. I realize that, but sometimes the light is a strong cup of tea. White Buffalo is a bit different, but very clear. So I'm going to start off with a few quotations that she's given me personally, and I think all this will be in maybe a little free book or something, ebook or something here, when I can get the chance to put it on my website. All these little quotes she gives me. I love pearls of wisdom, so I get a lot of those from her. This one's called The Greatest Blessing, and she says that maybe the greatest blessing of all is that the universe and your individual life can have any meaning at all. Think about what a blessing just that is. That any of this could have any meaning at all. It's incredible. Oh, here's another one. She says, the truth is in control. The truth will always rule. And I've watched that happen. Just remember, no matter what you think is going on in the world, and sometimes in your life, that the truth is really in control. So stick with the truth. And the truth will rule. Sometimes it may take a while, but the truth does rule. And this is a good one. She would ask me interesting questions sometimes, and this was one of them. And this was back in 2005. She asked, what would never occur to you? That's an interesting question. Have you ever thought about what hasn't occurred to you? In other words, what is your missing note? We've all got a blind spot somewhere that doesn't occur to us. And it's the one thing that everybody in the world can see but you. It's your stuff. And so every once in a while it's good to meditate on what may not have occurred to you. And sometimes you're the last to know. And here's what she says about that. If you haven't the time or focus to look into yourself in the mirror of reflection, then you are out of control. Don't blame the world. And here's an interesting one. This was because I was asking White Buffalo about near-deathers, because there's a certain pattern with near-deathers that I found kind of strange, and that is that so many near-deathers claim that they would give up 50 lives to be back with that light. That this life is nothing like that. And so many comments from near-deathers about that they would rather be there than here. One moment with that light is worth many lifetimes. And I've always thought, oh boy, there's something they're not getting. Having a near-death experience doesn't actually make you any smarter or different in many ways. It can accent what's already there. But here's what she had to say about that when I asked her. And she called it this. She said, abundance slipping through our hands is the name of this. How can we overlook life itself? We are so magnificently blessed that we tend to miss the life we are living. We're too abundant. We were given the gift of life eternal, and yet we spend so much of our time worrying about death, and in doing so, make this life a trivial experience or a prelude to something more than life? More than life? We tend to overlook the blessing we have by so often wanting so much more. I pray, please honor your life as if it were the only one we will ever have, because it really is the only eternal life you will ever know. like to put a shout out to, I just found this out a little bit earlier today. We actually have a white buffalo woman on the line listening, a friend of mine whose name is Kuan Yen from Chicago. So welcome to the circle. Pleased to have you here. So here's some interesting things that I've learned. She's taught me a lot about sleep. She calls it spirit sleepers. And I don't know how many of you have really explored and examined what sleep is all about and why sleep is so important. When we sleep, we can explore other places, other lives, other dimensions. We can astral travel. We can spirit travel. We can help others while we sleep. We can learn and we can teach others while we sleep. So it's very useful to rest the body, and yet this other part of ourselves is set free at that time. There are many people that think they can't astral travel or spirit travel, and actually it's the most natural thing you do quite often while you're sleeping. I've had incidences where I've literally had things like this happen. I was at a store a while back, and a health food store, getting some groceries, and a woman in line right behind me, and I had a friend here with me that heard this. She said, Mellen Thomas? And I looked at her, and I just didn't recognize her. She said, Mellen, I want to thank you so much for that incredible workshop you gave. And I couldn't remember what she was talking about. I said, well, where was that? And she told me where it was. I said, well, what did I teach? And she gave all these details. And my friend knew that I wasn't there. That didn't happen. But I didn't tell them. I just listened. I asked more questions. What did you learn? Was it good? And I physically had never been there. And so we all have these sort of adventures. It's about recalling them and remembering them if you want to. It's not necessary that you do, though. The work goes on anyway in a very natural process. And I've had this happen a number of times where people said they'd attended classes or whatever, and I wasn't actually in the area at the time. Interesting things. We can all do this, so it's very important to understand the spiritual and spirit nature of sleep. And what she's taught me to do is something very interesting. Sleep can be a ritual. She calls it the ritual of spirit sleep. And I've created a couple little prayers, and one of them is a takeoff on the old child's prayer. I'd like to be aware that I am probably going to travel and do things while I'm sleeping, but I want my body to rest, and I want my body to be refreshed. And the old prayer of now I lay my body down to sleep, she gave me a different version. Now I lay my body down to sleep. I trust in Gaia my soul to keep. If this incarnation should end before I wake, I give the earth my soul to take. May graceful angels watch me through the night and wake me in the gentle morning light. And a nice little prayer, huh? And think about all the time that we might be wasting by not sleeping. Sleep is power. Sleep gives you power, gives your body power. It's the one time you can be really free. Like in lucid dreaming, you can be anything you want to be. You can go anywhere you want to be. It's a reality dimension, actually. And so if you aren't sleeping or having trouble sleeping, which is pandemic in this modern age, ask yourself, what are you doing not to sleep? You must address this because it has a spiritual nature to it. It's something you need for your spirit. So we need to rest and reboot our bodies, our minds, and our spirits while we sleep. And so this modern age of computers and wizards and all kinds of technology and distractions are keeping us from our normal sleep time, and that keeps us away from incredible amount of spirit time. So if you understand it this way, you might change some things in your life and prepare your sleep, prepare your bedroom as it were a ritual. It's very, very important. The bedroom should be your temple of regeneration. It should be the cleanest place in the house. You've got to understand that light goes right through your much you can do about it. We almost have to retrain ourselves. We trained ourselves to use our computers. We've trained ourselves to do many things. We can certainly train ourselves to sleep and become a spirit sleeper. Now, what's interesting about that, what's so interesting about that, is that for people that have illnesses and people that are dealing with serious health problems, you can, in your sleep, you can call the universe to deliver to you, to make a connection with you to the greatest healer in the universe with your particular condition. These are spirit healers. They're all around us. And so a good way to prepare for this is not only, make the bedroom and the lighting and prepare yourself for this, because it is one of the most important things in our life, there's some tried and true things for remembering dreams and dreaming, one of which I find the easiest to do is the glass of water technique. Take a glass of water. You can put crystals in it and charge them if you want, or things like that. But take a glass of water, and before you actually lay down to go to sleep, program what it is you would like to do if you want to do anything. You can program just to remember any dreams that might come up. But if you're looking for a spirit healer, then as you hold the glass of water, because I've done many experiments with water, and water loses a charge almost instantly. That's why the way to hold a charge in water is to hold your hand around the glass and drink it while you're programming it. Once it gets into your body and your body's electromagnetic system, it will stay charged. I've done many experiments in this kind of structured water experiments. And so you drink half the glass saying, I want the greatest spirit healer in the world to come and work with me, to heal me, to show me how to heal. And then you only drink half the glass of water, then you go to sleep. And you may dream about this. It may take several attempts. It may take more than several attempts for some people who don't believe in themselves and don't have confidence, but keep trying, because it will work. And so you can have a great adventure with a spirit healer, shamans or scientists, whatever kind that you want, will come to you and work with you. I've seen great results in my life in this, because I've had some serious things happen to me since my near-death experience. And I know it's helped others that I've shared this with. And so then when you wake up in the morning, one of the first things you do is take that glass of water, hold it with your hands, and program it while holding it, and say, I want to remember my dreams. I want to remember everything. And then drink that water. Now, sometimes you may instantly start remembering. After a while you will. Or it may be later in the day, where suddenly you go, oh, I remember that dream. Because that structured water that you programmed to remember is going through you, going through all the levels of you. And so that's a very good way to kind of program your dreams if you want to. There are dreams you can have just for fun. I have certain dreams that I love. I love flying dreams, so I tend to have a lot of those because I love to have them. Levitation dreams, I love this kind of thing. It's a really cool feeling. So it's very important to understand the power and the necessity of our sleep time. It's real spirit time for us, very, very deep and powerful spirit time. So next I would like to talk about something White Buffalo has taught me that's very interesting. In this busy modern world, we go to lectures, we go to movies, we read books, we spend a lot of time emailing and texting, and then we turn around and wonder how our life seems to be slipping through our hands. Well, this is something very simple White Buffalo has taught me to do, and it's a really cool thing, and it's called My Table. My Table, and what I'm talking about is your dining room table. And this is where we cover the part of conversations as ceremony. My Table. And it's a really cool thing I know that I can do is to bring people to my table for food, for thought, for communion, for ceremony, and for celebration of life. We know how important it is for people to get together like this, but now it becomes a ceremony. And I try to do this on a regular basis, and I only invite enough people. You don't have to invite a whole horde of people. My table sits 6 people. And I try to invite people over, where I love to cook for people. I'm someone that many, many years ago started watching cooking shows and became hooked on them. I like to watch the cooking shows because they're nothing but good vibes. I don't watch the competition shows or Hell's Kitchen shows. Those I don't like. And but I watched so many cooking shows over the years that years ago, one day I woke up and I started cooking. And I've been cooking ever since and love it. And I love cooking for people. And I've created my own dishes. Who knows, I may put out a cookbook at some point. But bringing people to, and the people can be different at each dinner because we all have a number of friends and different people that we meet. And you can bring people to your table for food and thought and discuss certain subjects that normally you would only like go to a lecture or read a book or watch a documentary on television. But it's important to share this with people verbally. It's very holographic. And so sharing your table with people and sharing this kind of higher scale conversation is really, really quite a beautiful thing to be doing. And it becomes a thing you love doing. And nobody's allowed to clean up. I take care of everything. And I've learned, though, that if there's too much wine at the table, things can go astray. So just kind of keep in mind, this is a ceremony, not a party. And so bringing people to your table on a regular basis, once a week, once a month, whatever you can do, is a ceremony of communion and union and sharing ideas. You may learn things about yourself, about others. You may learn things about the world that you were unaware of. Because, there's not one of us on this planet that sees everything and knows everything. That's why Gaia created all of us. Every bacteria, every tree, every animal, every human on Earth has a piece of the knowledge of this planet that we can share. Bacteria, even rocks, can share information with us. From rocks we learn about the ancient history of the Earth, even before there was life on Earth. There's so much we can learn, and it's all in there. It's not in just one brain. And so it's very interesting. If you've ever seen the movie My Dinner with Andre, I suggest you see it or rewatch it again. It was a great movie in which it was just 2 men at a table going through an entire, I think, 6-course meal, but you don't even notice they're eating. The conversation is so interesting, and it's just these guys at this table. And it's a fascinating movie to watch, and I was reminded of this when I learned about my table. So don't make it too big, don't make it too much about a party, and have different people, different types of people come to your table, and your table will become well known as a place of communion, as a place of union, and invite strangers in sometimes, strangers you've heard about or know about or have just met. So in this way your circle kind of grows, and in this way new experiences come into your life, new awarenesses. It's been quite a rewarding experience. I did stop for a while because of being too busy, and that's what I mean, our life slips through our hands. Too busy to cook for my friends. I've been through that. Many of us think that. But once you start making the time for these things, it's like I've said before, White Buffalo's taught me that the age of miracles never ended. The whole universe is one big miracle. It always has been. Everything in the entire universe, including us talking over this phone line, is completely impossible. And yet we do it every day with ease. We do the most impossible things with ease. And so in this way, we are we're making the time. We're taking the time and making the space for miracles to happen. If you're too busy running around, the chance of getting a miracle is like sticking your hand out the window and maybe one will fall in your hand. But you'll have more miracles in your life if you take the time and make the space for miracles to come in, because you're surrounded by miracles. You're surrounded by miracles. Just let them in. They're all around us in every way imaginable, from subatomic to super macro. All kinds of miracles are available to us. So that is my table. And when White Buffalo came into my life, as I've said before, I really wasn't expecting it. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't even really paying attention or aware that these things were going on until that fateful day in August '94. And when White Buffalo came into my life, and I suggest all of you do this with any source that comes in to give you information. I love the energy, but I said, tell me, what is your vibration? And this is what she said to me. It could be different for others, but I wanted to know about her for a full union or a full integration. And I suggest everybody does that channels or brings spirit life into your circle. And she said this. She said, love, grace, clarity, and action. And she actually put a picture in my head, which I drew. And love is the blessing of life itself. And we all can bring that to this life. Grace is a very high form of wisdom. I would rather have grace than a genius IQ. Clarity. This is an interesting one, as she explained it. Clarity is the karma charmer. The karma charmer. You ever thought about charming your karma? With clarity, it's a way to not get into karmas. There will always be karmas, even with you when you end one, something else begins. It's laws of cause and effect in the entire universe at every level. But with clarity, you can avoid karmas that are unpleasant, unnecessary, and not helpful at all. And I said, well, how do you keep people clear then? How do you keep people straight? And White Buffalo said, it's up to you to keep people clear. Now that's an interesting statement. It's up to me to keep people clear. And that's by you being clear. If you've got clarity, you will ask that of others in business, life, or relationships. Clarity, the light of day, is what keeps, and if you pay attention to it, keeps you from going into karmas that you would not want to be in. You would never have guessed you would end up in a certain place, because we're quite often not clear with each other, and we're not clear with ourselves, what our boundaries are. Your issues in your life are not bad things. There are issues that are not pleasant. There are issues that we may have about parents and all that kind of stuff. But the issues in your life, for the most part, and this is kind of a flip, for the most part, a lot of issues you have are to protect you. And so, every once in a while, when someone says to me, oh, that's just your issue, Mellen, I say, yeah, it is. And this particular issue is here to protect me from you. So don't think all of your issues are bad and non-productive. You are allowed to not like things. There are things that you cannot tolerate. I can't be with cigarette smokers. And there are other things that I know that every time people do that, it upsets me or it's disrespectful. And so I'm very clear with people, and I've learned to not hang out with people that do things like that. And you have a perfect right in this universe not to like even small things. And they can be tiny little things. One issue might be, people that come over to your house, open up cabinets, leave the cabinet doors open, and you go in there and you get poked in the head with the cabinet. okay, that's a good issue. Because they're not thinking of anybody but themselves and causing you pain later. It doesn't have to be anything like super sophisticated or anything. We have a lot of little issues that if we would pay attention to are actually things that our body and our spirit are telling us, you should be upset about this, or you shouldn't be in this atmosphere. So clarity is really super important in karmic issues, as in business and other things. I mean, how many times we get into things where we just weren't clear enough for some reason or another. Maybe we wanted it too much, and that clouds your clarity. Wanting something too much clouds your clarity, or too desperate. And I've been desperate many times. I know that feeling. And that clouds your clarity. It's very important to be clear with the world and to maintain your clarity and learn about your good little issues that are out to protect you. Because if you don't, you're always going to have these aggravations in your life, and aggravations kind of steal your energy. And then the fourth one was action. And action, as she explained it to me, is exercising your power. Exercising your power. That's action. If we would all exercise our power, the world would change in a much different direction, and we're all getting to that now. We can now have more individual action and effect on the world than ever before in the world. But if we don't act, then we don't exercise our power, and most of us have incredible powers that we haven't even recognized or have ever exercised. And if you're someone that's never exercised your power, then it's a scary thing. It's a really scary. I know. When I first became an inventor, I had knots in my stomach having to go in and try to get funding for an invention. It was just the worst thing in the world to exercise my power. But then I learned people wanted my inventions, and I learned the lesson of exercising my power. The other thing about exercising your power is that true enlightenment is not just spiritual. It's ecological, it's political, it's monetary. We live in these realms, and you must exercise your power in all the aspects of this realm that we live in, not just the spiritual. And so an enlightened person will become more politically active. You have to be when you think about it. You have to be. And you take more interest in your community. You take more interest in your school system. And higher consciousness that we're looking for requires more action and more of your internal power to be exercised as the average person. The average person is where all the power is. I remember when all this crash was happening, and everybody was talking about the 99% or the 99.9%. And I would tell people as they were complaining to me about this horrible thing, we're the 99%. I said, happily, we are the 99%. We have the power. Don't you get it? And it's even better if we're the 99.9%. And that's what these modern times are really about. Like no other time in history is the average person like us beginning to exercise our power. And again, it is a scary thing when you start using it. But I have seen people exercise their power in very, very brilliant ways. One little black woman in New York changed the whole state law. Think about these things. And so in this way, we become more of a blessing to the world. The old axiom is, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, or there isn't much evil in the world, it's just that good people do very little about it. And so I'm not going to get very political in this talk, but it is a part of the realm that we live in. And if you ignore that part of this realm, then you're not being helpful to the rest of us. And so keep that in mind. So her vibration, she told me, was love, grace, clarity, and action. And that fit. I loved it. I said, I accept it. And have tried to live up to those standards. Now, the next thing that I learned was she keeps reminding me of the original promise. The original promise. And I think most of us would agree we all came here with with a promise that we made at some point, somewhere, in some dim time, you know. But that promise, and I think we all resonate with this in whatever language, I think the original promise is to bring heaven to earth. And we keep forgetting that. We keep getting straight off. Politicians and generals and people like that keep getting us off the track of bringing heaven to earth. So most of us have this original promise, and I've talked to many people about this over the years. And when I first heard it, I said, yeah, I agree with that. Heaven, let's bring heaven to earth. And so the next one is very interesting. This is an important one and a very important lesson that I've had to learn, and I'll share it with you. And it's called the inner circle, or the circle of one. You have something called a core essence that is unique to you. It is you. And this core essence really determines even what your aura looks like. It determines a lot about what you do and how people respond to you. And you can call that, as White Buffalo has taught me, you can call that inner circle the circle of one. That's your circle. That's in a metaphor, your eye of the storm. And the more that we learn about the circle and become a master of our circle, and there are many circles, but this inner circle is a circle that very rarely in your life can anyone else enter and not corrupt it. And I don't mean in a bad way. I mean that, think about this, there's so many things in your life that you could never possibly explain to anyone else. And in doing so, you become confused, trying to explain something that no one can understand. We all have that in our essence. It's unique to you. You can, poets, philosophers have all tried this. And some of it resonates with us. I love Rumi. You know, Rumi carries me away. But there's still things that are unique to me. And that, in one way, creates what is an aspect of loneliness in our lives. Because humans have this great desire to share. And there's some things that just can't be shared. And this may resonate as kind of a loneliness in some people deep inside them. Just remember, that's all it is. It's not a loneliness made from the outside. But we cannot, and you must understand that we cannot explain everything that we are about to anyone else precisely. And many times they get tired of listening to us also. You ever notice that? When you're trying to say who you are. And so this inner circle is a place that you should operate from. And we've been pulled out of it by religions and by all sorts of things that we've been through, education systems, mostly by religions all during time, because they don't want us to be ourselves. They don't want us to have the gnosis. They don't want us to know, because most religions are state religions of one fact or another, or cults. And so this inner circle, which you always have had, which is your core essence, which cannot be tainted. You just need to be there more often. You need to be with it. You need to sit with it more often, and become a good circle master. And in this inner circle is where you should operate on. It's like the eye of the storm. Say the whole world is the storm around you, and you have this place in the center of you that is the eye of the storm, where everything is calm and clear, and you can see the storm, and you can see all the parts of the storm, but you are operating from this inner circle. And it's not unusual when people are starting to learn about this, is they'll invite a loved one in, or their best friend try into their circle. Well, that's an interesting event. Remember that your circle, your inner circle, if any vibration enters that circle that is not good for you, that is not right for you, or will not even understand, your circle is like evaporates. The circle is broken instantly. But the good news is draw a new circle. Just don't keep inviting the same people in or the same energy in, because even if you invite spirit sources, actual physical people into your circle, if something's not right about that, the circle will evaporate, and you'll notice it right away. And so when that happens, then you have to draw a new circle, start over again. And the good news is you can always draw a new circle, because that core essence is never lost. But once you invite somebody into that, it may be corrupted. Every once in a while we find somebody that's very simpatico with us and can love us enough to be there with us, but it's pretty rare. Now, outside of this inner circle, there are all kinds of other circles all around you. You know, humans have always loved making circles. We're the great circle makers, and we come from a universe that seems to go in a lot of circles too. Everything is going in circles and ellipses, and so outside your inner core, your inner circle is circles of people you trust, and then after that, people at different levels, all the way out to just people you may go to school with or you may work with. There's all these circles around us, and so get that kind of clear in your mind. Now, the inner circle is where you have great power, and we should spend more time there. In fact, with a little practice, you can operate from that inner circle almost all the time, and maybe all the time for some of us that really master it. Every once in a while, I'm pulled out of my circle, and I know it. And I've been in situations in life that have not been very pretty sometimes since my near-death experience. I've been homeless almost 3 times due to businessmen pulling stuff on me. And in each case where these things have happened, the people that have been doing this to me suddenly see me become very calm, and I'm seeing the karma, and I go back to my eye of the storm, and they go, well, you should be more upset. You know, you should be this, you should be that. And I said, no, I don't. I'm seeing the karma, and they don't. And so if you don't see the karma, you can, especially in my business of invention, you can be suing people and being sued the rest of your life in this world. Because people are always trying to take things from you. The sharks smell money all the time. And so I've confused certain people who really thought I would be devastated. Well, you know, yeah, it hurt, but the minute I get back in my circle and draw my circle, I'm okay again. Because I know I have an eternal life, and I know I have infinite amount of ideas. And I know that with the karma involved, how much do I want to fight? I'm someone that doesn't give up easy, but there's certain fights that are just not worth it. And so you can call this what's interesting about this circle of one is that it's almost like the second coming. It is self-initiation, and it leads to self-healing and self-government. In your circle, there are no blame games. They do not exist. There are no excuses whatsoever, because in the circle, if not you, who? If not now, when? And remember, action brings you into the true now. And the true now is the only thing you will ever experience as infinity. Infinity is not some great distance from you. The moment of now is infinity. Now, related to this is karma. And this is something that I've really benefited from learning this particular piece about karma. Karma is very weird, and it happens at every level. And it's when people get off the high road that the karma gets really bad. And so White Buffalo's always recommended to me, take the high road. Always take the high road. And I've seen so many couples getting divorced fighting over a dog or a bowl or something. The thing is to take the high road. And even if your partner, or even if you're whoever this may be involved with, or whatever situation, take the high road. Don't be afraid to lose something, because that something may come with a lot of karma and a lot of fight that you don't need. The fights will lead to karmas that could go on for lifetimes if you don't watch it. So just remember that. No matter if they hate you and throw slurs at you and all of that, just take the high road. In the end, the high road is the road of good karma. And sometimes we get into these fights with people in situations because we weren't clear, the clarity thing. We weren't clear in the beginning with ourselves, what we wanted, and with other people, what do they want? What were they expecting? And sometimes what they're expecting is a price you can't pay. So be very clear. And the best road in the karmic trail is to take the high road, and it really, really will benefit you immensely. The next thing White Buffalo's taught me about is stress. Now, who isn't stressed nowadays? That's our big buzzword. Who isn't stressed? Well, White Buffalo says, love it or let it go. Quick solution to stress. Love what you're doing or let it go. Love your job, love the traffic, love what you're doing or let it go. We are moving way too fast these days. When we've got to realize that the hard work of mankind is really over. We're changing into a completely different society by the year 2100, probably by your next incarnation. The hard work of mankind is really, I mean the hard work, I mean living in the caves, I mean, the things our ancestors had to go through, we've accomplished. So take a big breath and relax. You've already been saved. And White Buffalo says, who saved you? Who saved you is the same being that created you. It is all you. You created yourself out of yourself. The universe created itself out of itself. And the most important thing you can do for stress, and this is not talked about a lot, but White Buffalo just sees these things. I'd never thought about it before, but one of the most important things about stress is, how much stress are you creating in others? People are creating stress with you, and things and situations are creating stress with you. But how much stress are you putting into the world by how you react and how you handle things? If you want to, so reducing stress is not only personal stress. How about you doing something to reduce the stress in the world around you? This is so important, and reduce the stress in others. I've learned to do this constantly. When I'm in a checkout line, why is it that the express lines are always the slowest line? Why is that? Does that bug you? Well, I watch these employees working at the 7-Elevens and at the Safeways, and they're working and they're trying to do a good job. And you got people complaining at them and being angry with them because they aren't moving fast enough or doing something, or the price wasn't right. Whenever my time comes to be with the checkout person or a person like that, I always make a joke, and I always try to give them a laugh, and it changes them. One of the favorite things I like to do at Safeway is at the end they give you that receipt and they say, oh, look at all the money you've saved. And I look at it and go, oh my God, saving this kind of money, I'll be able to buy this place one day. And when I do, I'm putting a jacuzzi in the back for everybody. Everybody laughs, And when there's somebody behind you in the car or in the line or whatever, pushing, and don't let their anger stress you out. Just don't take it. Just put up your arc shield. You don't need to take it, So reducing stress in the world and in others is just as important as dealing with stress in you very personally. So stress reduction is something we can all do in two different directions. A couple of other little things here. White Buffalo has been very instrumental in some business things that have happened. And I've gotten some real pearls of wisdom over the years. Of course, you can't control people. People are going to do what they're going to do anyway, but it does give you an insight into things. And how many of you have ever been through a situation where someone pulls a power move on you? They get angry, or they threaten your job, or there's so many power moves people can make on you. And so White Buffalo says, personally, you should never do a power move unless you have the power, because then it's just a mess. Think about that simply. No judgment. Never make a power move unless you have the power. Otherwise, songs have been written to politicians, but a lot of love songs have been written. So we have this great aspect about us. But remember this, and this is why conscious, evolved people must take action and exercise their power, because in this universe, which is non-biased, power is given to those who will use it. Power is given to those who will use it. And then she said this one, after that, there are no judgments. There is only karma. The universe is not going to judge you on any of this, but boy, you got to deal with the karma. Keep this in mind. It's not a Pollyanna universe. And so people of spirit and integrity must assume their power and exercise their power. It's so, so important in this world. And most useful is at the local levels. Your schools, your children, everything we can to help our children, things like that. Now, the other thing that White Buffalo's taught me is this 1-minute meditation that I try to do once a day. And that is it's 1 minute of all-out love and blessings. You just do the breathing and you get the energy going and you get the best energy you've got. It's all out for 1 minute. If we all did that for 1 minute a day, it would really add up. And it is starting to add up. More and more people are doing this in their own ways. So do that power moment of 1 minute, all out love and blessings to the entire world. And watch what happens. It all adds up, doesn't it? And so it kind of wraps it up for today.